to see your food? I'm gonna turn it back on. Okay, I think it's fair. It's dark enough outside. Morning, everybody. Y'all good today? Yeah. Survived the wind storm. Nobody had trees blow over or anything. I had to chase a baseball net through neighbors' yards last night about 10 o'clock. So that was fun. We've got a lot to get through today, but it's all really good stuff. I think probably most of you are here to see the panel, which I think we're all excited about. A couple of things we want to hit on. One, just want to thank, I want to thank Boundary Title for sponsoring breakfast this morning. One thing we wanted to kind of, two things I want to share with you guys today that are sort of announcements that are resources to you that we're rolling out. One, what we talked about internally a lot at the end of last year was just commitment, and a lot of that was just more of a commitment from us to you guys. And kind of in conversations with that, we rolled something out that we're excited to launch. But first, since it's March, I wanted to do a little basketball talk. So when we're talking about greatest of all time, whose team is Jordan? For my Jordan fans, okay, LeBron. You LeBron? No? Okay. I was gonna say we got all 80s and 90s people in here. Who's seen the Last Dance documentary on Netflix? A lot of you guys. If you haven't watched it, if you're a big Jordan fan, you'll appreciate it. But that documentary talks a lot about when Michael Jordan was drafted, coming out of college, drafted in 1984. Pretty quickly after that was just a sensation. I mean, everybody knew like, hey, this kid's a star. He's tearing it up. But he wasn't winning championships early. I mean, he was winning slam dunk competitions. He was winning MVPs, but there were a lot of questions around, hey, can this guy win on his own? And he wasn't, despite all the success he was having. So the Bulls organization went in and got pieces in place, and those pieces made a big difference. But if you watch the documentary and the interviews in there, the thing that really made all that work was Michael Jordan's just relentless pursuit of perfection was one. And also just how uncomfortable he made his teammates with his level of accountability. And obviously, looking back on it, they were like, man, we didn't like the guy, in practices and everything because of how hard he pushed them. But the result was 6 championships starting in 1991, took him 7 years to win, and then the rest is history. But all those guys, Scottie Pippen, I mean, you just Scottie Pippen, great player, but would he have been Scottie Pippen without all the things that Jordan pushed him to be? So that's kind of like my basketball example of kind of a commitment of what we're rolling out called a True Blue commitment. And I want to share with you guys just from a transparency standpoint, because this is something that we've created that anytime we bring on a new agent, we're going to present this to them and have them sign it. Okay. And it sounds scary, but we've got plenty of printouts. You guys can read it. And if any of you want to sign it, you can. Our commitment to you is still going to be in place. And pretty much what this says is that if you go 4 months, 120 days without a closing, we're going to pick up the phone and give you a call. And we're going to say, how do we help? And the commitment to a new agent is going to be, hey, you're going to agree to participate in a couple of things that are not difficult things. But the goal in this is just to raise everybody up, right? Like we can bring the pieces into the company, and that's important. But it doesn't bring any value to you guys. It doesn't bring any value to us if those new pieces aren't producing, right? And if they're not making you guys better, if they're not bringing value into this organization. So we're really excited about this, and we want you guys to feel good about what we're doing. So when we bring somebody in that we're not just, and that's kind of the life raft part, like, hey, real estate it's big, and there's a lot of just on you stuff. But everything that we've invested in has been an agent resource and a reason to help you guys get to where you want to be. So we've got these. We're not asking you guys to sign them. If you are like an accountability person and you're like, I want to sign that and I want to have that on file, we've got them. Or even if you just want to pick them up and look at them. So wanted you guys to know about that. It's something we're excited about. It will add some accountability to us. We're making a commitment to agents to come on board, and then we're asking them to make a commitment just to the process, and to you guys too, so that you can be proud of who comes into these doors and works at Capstone as well. One of those resources that we do have for you guys today, if you want them, this is called a You Got This book, and it goes January, which we're obviously into March, but it goes January through December, and it's just kind of an action guide of like, hey, here's some things to do this month, so maybe holidays to keep in mind, and just a little thing to kind of keep you motivated and to keep you going. So if you need something like this, just to flip through every month and kind of create like a little checkbox of, hey, I'm going to do these 5 or 6 things. We've got these for you guys to grab on the way out. So I wanted to tell you guys about that, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mike, and he's going to run through some market numbers for you guys.
Well, good morning, everyone. Again, this is amazing. Love seeing everybody coming out. Appreciate you taking the time to do it, and I hope that you get something, one thing out of this that motivates you to be able to accomplish something. So these are the January stats. Oh, I think that's what they did. Okay, January, you're right. Thank you. January stats, and you can see that this was for Huntsville, Madison County, 420 sold compared to 378 last year, so that's increasing. Sales, median sales price is about the same. The homes on the market, look at the increase in inventory. And the days on the market, because of that, has increased. Now, our numbers compared to this was we had 98.5 transactions. Our median sales price was $392,258. Good job. We had 321 active listings. If you look at that, that's over 10%. Keep listing. Now, our days on the market, it's gone up to 70, but I think it's going to be some new construction, things like that. So good job, everyone. We'll be keeping you posted with the numbers and everything. Now, I always get to be the bad guy. This is not a Capstone thing. This isn't a Mike thing. It's not a Kim thing or a Darren thing. This is an Alabama Real Estate Commission thing. So the names on the application, I think pretty self-explanatory. If your name is different and alphabetically it has to be the same. Let's say I go by Mike, but my real name is Darren Marcus. I would have to call the commission and get the Mike put on my license. So just if there's any question, look at it, and with Kimberly, Kim, it's acceptable.
Yeah, if it's an abbreviation of your full name, you're good. But if you go by a completely different name, you just might want to cross-check your license that's held with the Alabama Real Estate Commission to whatever name you're utilizing to advertise, and just make sure it's recorded and documented properly.
Number 2 is just a consolidation, letting everyone know that in a real estate transaction, for every offer and counteroffer, you have to prepare for the buyer and the seller an estimated closing statement. I know everybody loves the estimated closing statement, but that's not going away. Also, here's a heads up. Even if somebody says, I don't want to be represented, you're going to have buyers coming up and say, I don't want to be represented. You may have for sale by owners to say, I don't want to be represented. Alabama law does not allow you to not represent something. You're going to represent them. Therefore, you have to prepare them in the ECS, just like you would if they were your clients. If you have any questions on that, give me a call. Now the good one. Requires a salesperson or associate broker to display the name of the qualifying broker or company prominently in any advertising promoting the salesperson or qualified broker as a real estate agent. The word prominently, as used in that statutory provision, means use of a font size that is equal to or larger than any other text or logo in the advertisement and situated in size for the purpose of gaining the attention of consumer viewing the advertisement. In other words, the logo of Capstone has to be as large or larger than any print that's on the advertisement. Now, there was questions about pictures. Now, when you have a picture, that's not applicable. So on your business cards, you can have pictures, but any advertising with a logo for your name has to be equal size or smaller than the Capstone logo.
And if you were on the Zoom that we did last week, if you missed it, that's no problem. This was the most important thing. But Darren gave a great example of if you draw them in a box, the capstone logo needs to be prominent over your logo or your name or your font size. It doesn't matter where it's arranged as long as both are there and the capstone logo is larger. There will be fines. The commission's giving us a grace period. They gave about 35 to 45 days. That is probably up April 1st, kind of the timeline we figured. So anything after April 1st that's not changed over, signs, business cards, social media publications, any public advertising, those are subject to fines after April 1st. So just make sure that you're leaning on marketing. We're ready. We've pulled everybody's personal branding. She knows what's up. So if you need any help at all, we are here to help you get that in compliance so that we don't see any fines coming your way the 1st of April.
Yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of us. Also, before I turn it over to Kim, there were a few people that came in. Go by and see Mary Beth, get you a ticket for a drawing that's coming up in about 5 minutes. I think I saw Debbie and Philip. Get you one.
All right. Y'all ready for the calendar of events? We've been trying to post per quarter on the dashboard so that you guys can plan, look ahead. We'll have Q2 in there by the 1st of next week. We're just waiting on a couple more times to confirm. So we'll have all of Q2, but just kind of a snapshot of what's coming up in March. This Thursday, so tomorrow, we are doing a condensed version of all of our Capstone one-on-one classes. So working with buyers, working with sellers, buyer presentations, listing presentations, agency and contracts. We're going to crash course that in an hour-and-a-half session right here tomorrow. Mike and I will both be here working through that. So if anybody just needs a refresher on all of those things, please feel free to join us. 10 a.m. So 10 to 11:30. We'll probably meet in the conference room. March 19th, everybody loves John Perry. He's going to come do a dashboard 201. So if you came to 101, he brought some really, really awesome information and insight for all the tools that we have that are free to you within the dashboard. So he's going to be back Wednesday, the 19th, along with someone doing content day. We'll talk about that just a little bit more in a second. March 20th, Gottlieb. 25th, Cynthia's going to do a tech talk. And then the 27th, our director of fun back there, Derek Hasley, has put together another kickball tournament. That's going to be through lunch at Oak Park. We'll put a sign up together on the dashboard, but it's show up, we'll feed you lunch, we'll have a good time. I have a feeling there might be a little bit of a rematch competition happening. Should be a great time just to gather as a family, just have a good time as the weather starts to warm back up. April 9th, we're doing Dan Elder, and then April 10th, more to come on this. We're going to do a client Easter event. Cynthia's put together some really great ideas of just an outreach to your client. No cost to you. We just need to know that you're going to participate. It will most likely be at the shed at Stowe House, so open air, a lot of fun, just an opportunity for you to touch base with your clients, reach out, invite them, and gather as both agents with our clients as a way to provide some value. Content day. So I mentioned John's coming. He is bringing a videographer that is going to do agent bios. These are going to be 20-minute sessions for a 60-second video. So if you would like to get it in his rotation for that day, there's a QR code right there. If you can scan that and register for us so we know how long we need to keep him here, that would be really awesome. This is something that we're going to try to do more often if everyone wants that, but we've gotten a lot of feedback that they really like some video content, so we thought that agent bios would be a great place to start.
We do have limited spots for that, so if there are all full and you still want one, email me and we'll try to work around that.
And I don't know if anyone saw the ones they did the last round, but they were really good. And some people that I feel like if you would have asked them prior, like, am I good on camera? No, but whoever did it, they did a phenomenal job with it. So,
and if you need help with what do I say about myself, let us know. We are more than happy to help put that together, get a script going for you, and just help you prepare for that. But take advantage of that opportunity. Like I said, if we fill it up, we'll do more of those if there's a demand for it. But like Cynthia said, we have limited seating. If we need more, we can make room for more. We just need to know how many we have coming. All right, super exciting announcement.
Now, over the last couple of years, the lawsuit and the partnership, all that stuff, your company, marketing,
2 live interactive workshops. One will be in Birmingham on April 8th, the other in Huntsville on April 9th. And I've named these Stress Testing Your Business Model for 2025. Now, because of the shifts in the market and the changes in how we operate, we have a lot of opportunities staring us in the face. But there are some skills and strategies and ways that you spend your money that you need to stress test and make sure you're taking advantage of what the market's handing us. Most agents are living in the past. They're waiting for the easy time. They're doing what they did back when the market was easy, missing the opportunity today. So in this interactive workshop, I'm going to take you through strategies and skills to help you identify what areas do you need to pivot in, and are you spending your money effectively to reach the people that actually are making transactions happen. Now, following these events, it'll be the same event, one in Birmingham, one in Huntsville. Following them, there'll be 2 webinars. Those webinars are to help you implement what you've learned. Yeah, I've been doing these workshops since I've done them in the West, South, the Northeast, Midwest. Every time we've done one, I have top performers come up to me and say, "Thank you, Dan. You really made me think. I'll be changing some of my business model moving forward." That tells me that we are making it happen, that we're really positioning agents to make those adjustments necessary, to take full advantage of what's going on. So mark your calendar. You do not want to miss this one. I'll be getting some more information out to you as we do. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you.
Who's excited about that? Can we give Darren and Jeff? They worked really hard to bring beneficial content. So Dan will be here live in Huntsville April 9th. It's going to be a 3-hour in-person session. And then following that, he's going to do 2 live webinars. And then in between, we will have trainings with Mike and I and Darren, your leadership team, based on the content that Dan puts forward to keep this going. It's going to be about an 8-week process from the time that we do the live webinar or do the live training and the webinars, and then mixed in between. So just some really, really awesome things to help you continue to grow your business. We're going into busy season. I know it's a big ask, but I really do think that this is such an incredible opportunity. Sign ups there. If you could help us out, there's early bird registration until March 15th. That's going to determine our location for this. So our goal is at least 30 of us to get together. If you'll register on that QR link, the more we have, the better, but the earlier you do it, the better. And Darren has graciously agreed to allow this to go on your agent bill. Very cost effective. Anything else? The time will likely be 9 a.m. Is that right, Jeff? 9?
9 to 12.
9 to 12? Yeah, 9 to 12 on Wednesday. And then the follow-up trainings will be happening at 10 a.m. on that date right there. Everybody got it? That needed it? We'll put this back up at the end too. All right. Boundary. Everybody get a raffle? She has 2 Starbucks gift cards to give away, and then she's actually going to give away a seat to Dan Elzer. So we're super excited. Thank you guys for that.
All right. You want here. All right. Last 3 are 744. Starbucks, yeah. Debbie's our big.
I don't know if you've ever been there or not.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Very good. Congratulations, Debbie.
Thank you.
The last 3 are 711.
All right.
Yes. All right, and our big one, who's getting a seat to Dan Elzer?
All right, 725.
725.
Yay.
All right.
Congrats.
Y'all ready for the fun?
We have so many great agents, and we've had a few of them just to volunteer their time. But what we're gonna do is have an agent panel, they're gonna answer some questions, and then hopefully we'll have enough time at the end to be able to ask them a couple of questions. So I'm gonna introduce, and Kim's gonna introduce our panel. First is Ada Haney. Now, I had the pleasure of being at the association, and I saw most of y'all come through. And I saw a lot of other people come through, and you knew that they talked the talk but weren't gonna walk the walk. Ada was one of those that was different. I could see that when she came in, that she was thorough, she came to the classes, she came to everything. So I knew she was going to be there. Here you are.
All right, our next one is the gentleman that's probably here before all of us. You'll see him walking around with his little wheelie desk, making phone calls. He is so intentional about his calls that he will hide his phone from himself. And if you see a phone on the pillar, please don't hang up on whoever he's talking to. I've made that mistake once already. But hey, hashtag Knowles knows phone.
Oh.
All right, our next one. I knew that her and I were going to be friends from the minute that she was in class talking about how well she treats her clients. And then I was texting her for about 2 months and she never texted me back. So I began to question our friendship. But I was texting the wrong person the entire time. So our sweet dear Katie Crawford. This one, I have had the honor of watching him dream of something from the very beginning to turning not only his own business, but his entire team into a top producing team at Capstone. Mark Horofsky. You know where you're going. You gotta sit up, you're over here.
And to round out our panel, if you had to talk about consistency, day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, and year in, year out, you would have to think of Rob Applefront. All right. No snide remarks until after, because they're actually, I'm gonna start with you, Ada. It may come to a surprise, but Ada is somewhat of a ninja believer, right? How do you start your day with a positive mindset?
I have a call at 5:30 in the morning with a couple of other businesses around the world. That's been my biggest leverage point, but also before my eyeballs open in the morning, that's perfect for my grad.
Very good. Oh, okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the Ninja 9?
Yes, so number one is gratitude and affirmations. That has been a huge leverage point in my business. Second is staying on your agenda, which means you planned your day the night before. And we're not off kilter by a text that comes in that looks like a fire of an emergency. If you don't know me, I have 4 kids. I homeschool them. And so that is as much important to me from my family standpoint that I'm having breakfast with my kids before the world enters on us every day. Third is 2 handwritten notes a day. It's an opportunity. If I do it 5 days a week, 10 lives can be impacted because I chose to say, hey, thank you, or I was thinking of you, or I'm so sorry that, ... When I get handwritten notes, they make my day, and so I really try to make it a practice. The other is focus on your flat list and focus on your warm list. And Ninja is all about neuroscience and reticular activating system. And as you are focusing on things, energy and in the world and all things, we can talk about it later. Their weekly habits are 2 real estate reviews a week. I'll be the first to tell you that I think at that is my 2025 goal.
What does that look like?
What?
A real estate review.
It looks like an equity report. It's not, hey, let me list your house, but it is, hey, just like I I go and meet with my financial planner every year with my investments. This is our people's largest investment usually. And just walking through, here's what has sold, here's general value, it's not a CMA. But it really is a way to get in front of them, and I'm all about lunches and all this kind of thing. You won't see me associating with realtors. Because if I'm away from my family, I'm in front of my people. And on that note, I only deal with my clients and their referrals or referrals from their agents. And so that is where another tenant of the week is 55 interviews, so 4 conversations. One of those every week is with a meet man at my Publix. Y'all who will send me 3 pieces of business because I say, hey, Tommy, how are you? It's that easy. Database weekly. Entering in those things, those changes is happening in people's lives. And that's it.
Looking out and I saw everybody's eyes glaze over and went, oh, if you had to pick 2, Ada, which 2 would you hyper focus on?
Can I give you 3?
Pick them up? Yes, absolutely.
I would say gratitude and affirmations and staying on my agenda. Those are the 2 things that I can control day in and day out. The third piece is 50 live interviews. And the reason is if I'm talking or aiming to talk to 50 people a week, my hot and my warm list are changing if I'm listening for where people's lives are changing. I've got people to write handwritten notes to. I have equity reports to write. I go hiking, like this time of year when I meet my clients, we're not going to lunch, we're hitting the trails, or we're going for a walk, or we're doing something that they enjoy. And last week on one of those hikes, she's like, you know what, we love our house, but it's just not big enough because our son's going to stay home and go to AH. We need to start living. And so it's just having those conversations, choosing to get out there with people. I'm also an introvert, and so at a kid's sporting event, I'm like, I have to talk to 10 people, and then I can put my headphones in.
Thank you, Ada.
All right, next we have Tyler. So I've kind of told you how his day usually starts when I get here, but what is a typical day in the life of Tyler?
So I'm gonna say it, and you're probably gonna think, A, this dude's a lot more successful than he is, and B, this sounds kind of crazy, but day normally starts 4:30 a.m. I'm up, let the pups out, then I have a quick devotion till about 5, give or take. I'm in the cold plunge, and anybody else do a cold plunge in here? Todd?
That's as hard as you like.
Cold plunges, y'all got to get one, or at least try it. You might hate it, but it's been a game changer for me.
What temperature?
Right.
Well, I just leave it outside, so it's between. I mean, right now it's hot. It's probably like 55, 60, but I mean, down when it was freezing. I mean, it was frozen. Yeah. Yes. So do that, and then I, get the rest of my stuff in the car, headed to the gym, work out CrossFit Huntsville, 6 a.m. to 7. And then I've started making calls as soon as I get in my car on the way to the office. I try to get the ones I'm worried about the most out of the way. So if you don't know, I've built a lot of my business on for sale by owner expired. So I'm hitting those when I'm coming into the office. I get into the office. I'll normally, if y'all are in here, y'all see me, I'll set up my golf back there. Sometimes I'll even have a golf thing on to kind of I like to have a separation between that and me making my calls. And so I make my second round of calls until probably 10 maybe. And then I think really important, anybody else have ADD, ADHD? I think realtors it attracts. So something I have learned, walks, breaks, get that mental reset. You've already put so much into the morning. So I'll normally get up, I'll call my brother, I'll walk down. Sometimes I'll just be a real weirdo and just sit next to the creek and just kind of refocus my day. come back in. Normally have one goal I'm trying to hit to be moving my business forward, that I'll try to accomplish. And then pendings, anyone, like you said, like things are going to come up during the day. That's when I'm handling that. Like, we're not saving lives here. Like, it's real estate. It can wait a couple hours. I know people don't think that, but you've got to protect your time because people are not going to. So that's what I'm doing on my follow-up. From there, lunch, and normally I'm going to the golf range, or I'm going to go walk, or I'm going to go play disc golf. I like to get again, ADHD, like to get a good mental reset. I'll come back in, again, follow up anything, and then my next day starts at like 3 to 4. Like, what's tomorrow look like? What are my big goals? I'm like writing those down that afternoon, getting home, spending a little time with the wife, maybe cleaning up a little something. We cook, and then we've been watching Yellow Jackets recently, which is super intense. It's so good. So yeah, that's mine.
Sounds busy.
Yeah.
So what are some systems that you have in place to streamline your business? So we know what the day looks like. When you're like hyper focused on this is the time that I'm working on my business, what are some of those systems? What does that look like?
Can you frame the question? I've got some stuff I wrote down, and I can kind of just take it and go with it. But what exactly? Okay.
Yep.
Well, first thing, does anybody have an assistant? A handful of us. Depending on how many deals you're doing, that was the best investment I've ever made. Is getting an assistant, because I hate that stuff. I hate doing the paperwork. I hate doing the back end stuff. I don't want to do it. And guess what? Most of the time, I didn't do it. So got me in trouble. So having an assistant, point being, I've got a great one. She's looking to add some people. If anybody wants some, if y'all want her contact, let me know. But that's probably the biggest one that is kind of keeps me focused. Follow-up boss. Who's got follow-up boss in here? Mark? Woo. Follow-up boss. Awesome. Action plans. Y'all use action plans? Sure. Do you really? I think everything needs a checklist. I think everything you're doing in your business needs a checklist. I'm always thinking about the future. At some point, I want to have my own team, and I want someone to be able to walk in. I read a book. I don't even remember what it was, but it talked about when things are happening on a plane, when things are going haywire. You needed these checklists to be precise, easy to read, where when things are freaking out, like you can have someone, okay, this is what we need to do. So that's what I tried to implement into my business. So everything's got a checklist that I'm doing. Am I on point?
That's great. Okay. Awesome. So all that, how do you stay structured every day?
I've got a timer. Has anybody seen my timer or heard it go off in here? It's annoying. I try to have a timer going on, and then also have break stops in my day. And again, this might be speaking to some of y'all, and some of y'all are like, what is this dude talking about? But those important, like even an appointment I have set up, it's keeping me like, hey, I've got to be straightened out by this time. It's those walks that kind of keeps me regimented throughout the day.
Hey, what strategies do you use to ensure a seamless and stress-free finance?
In case you can't tell, being organized is the only way that I can feel calm. So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question correctly, but I really like structure in my life, and so I feel like I can be the best for my folks if I'm providing them the structure that, number one, I want to follow, and that helps put them not letting the tail wag the dog, but also that I think makes us the most successful. So that always starts with a consultation. So like then when I've got that consultation, then I've got a sheet, a packet that I have of a buyer interview form. And that is asking everybody the same questions, knowing exactly where they need to be. But that isn't just like, what size house are you looking for? It's also, what are you looking for in an agent? How can I be most successful to you based on
HVAC, things along those lines. It's just really staying as organized and systematized as possible. But then on the other side of that, that's not the only thing that we need to know about our clients. Relationships are just as important, if not more important. So I've also got getting to know you forms, and it asks things like, what's your birthday? What's your kid's birthday? What's your dog's name? What's your dog's birthday? My most important question is I ask my buyers what type of pizza they like, because the day that they move in, I send them pizza, and I don't have to bother them again to ask them what that pizza order is. That's a big part of why I ask all those questions on sellers, because I want them to hear me that I'm listening and that they don't have to be asked the same thing over and over and over again. That's what my entire kind of back end business is built on. I've got templates for every single step of a transaction that having people drive, and I send out, a congrats and what's next for buyers. Same thing for sellers. And then as we get through things, sending them okay, here's what's next. I always want people to hear it from me and not having to ask me what's coming. And then Tyler's part of an assistant, but I have a transaction coordinator.
Yeah, an assistant transaction coordinator.
But
Okay.
that's really helpful to also, there's a lot of stuff that I can't keep in my brain. And so having somebody to help do all of that is sitting. Can I answer that?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. I think seamless and stress-free starts with structure, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How do you gather and use client feedback to provide exceptional customer service?
So I think that I kind of touched on that with my getting to know you form. And I send that, and I certainly ask it sometimes, but I also send it in a Google form so that way they can get to that when they can. And I also, like I said, I have buyer consultations every single time. I have a listing consultation every single time. And part of that is asking for what are their expectations? Have you worked with an agent before? If you have, why aren't you using them again? I don't want to know their name. Don't tell me anything about them, but what did you love and what did you not love? So what does that mean that you're expecting from me? And then you have to be prepared to, down the line saying hey, I remember you saying this is important. Do you feel like I'm meeting that expectation for you? And then hearing them, if they're saying yes or if they're saying no, and being able to accept that and put it in trust. And
Since we all know that real estate is a relationship profession, what follow-up systems do you use to maintain relationships with past clients and generate referrals?
my database is my number one. Like I said, it needs to be a weekly thing. Tyler talked about follow-up boss. I don't use it from a action plan situation. I use it from that thing can put in birthdays, home anniversaries. It can send emails for all those things, but I can also make groups so that I know when to send out birthday cards and handwrite them. It can track when the last time that you talked to somebody, whether that's a text, an email, snail mail, in person, phone call, any of those things. It helps you know when all of those things have happened and who you need to talk to. But it's also a big part of people. If they need something, help you stay organized on staying in touch. And one thing that I noted, I think all of us have said, and I'm sure it'll come when the next two talk, is Tyler and I run really different businesses. We're in the office a lot of mornings at the same time, and we are doing completely different things. Our businesses are built differently, but some of the things that Tyler's saying, our foundations are the same. And so having that same foundation as far as your structure, your routine, the service that you provide, that's what makes you successful. I'm not ever going to call a for sale by owner or an expired listing that makes me want to die. But we do have that same process, and that if you pick up anything, that's the most important thing to pick up, I would say.
Thank you.
All right, Mark. So most of your business, if not all of it, has been from people who know, like, and trust you, your sphere. So how do you personalize your approach to each individual client and transaction to really build upon that kind of business?
Yeah, okay. So I really try to remember that each person, each family that you're working with has a different story, and you can't get through that quickly. So I don't do it really well, but I've learned and try to have a really intentional buyer consult or listing consult first. So don't just take random phone calls from people and say, "Hey, I want to come see this house." It's a really terrible idea to have a sustainable business because it will burn you out. So if I can meet with people and have lunch or have coffee or be with them in their house and get to know them, understand who they are, their pets' names, their kids' names, all that kind of stuff, kind of builds that relationship or builds on it. Like Kim said, I mean, most of my business are just from people I know, people that tell me that they know people, stuff like that. So I've never done anything Tyler said. So everything he's done, I've never done any of that at all. I could not do that. I cannot dress like that. I cannot run that. And that's totally fine. I mean, what works for one might not work for me or for you and all that. But for me, it's remembering that first consult can be very personal and intentional, and people really value that. And then all the way through to the closing, to have personal, intentional closing gifts and interactions. So it's not just you're putting somebody through the system and they feel like there's another cog in the machine that you might, but you're being intentional with what they need, where they're at. And that comes down to the simple things like they mentioned something. I mean, people that have like, they're cat people and all they do is talk about their cat all the time. You better get them a cat gift, their closing gift. Like that's what they care about. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of judgments there. It's terrible for resale, but if they're cat gift, get them a raccoon trap or whatever they need for a closing gift. That's a personal touch. So thanks for that question.
Yeah.
You're not recording this, right?
Oh, no, of course not. So you have such a personalized approach to your client base and the way that you do business. How do you maintain consistent communication and follow some sort of system with all of those different clients you have your guys?
Yeah, that is super hard. I have, like, we just started using FUB like a month ago. That's why I was laughing when he was talking about it, because there's action plans on there. I got to figure out how to do that stuff. But for me, I've learned a long time ago in student ministry that there's a phrase that always stuck with you is you keep them with what you catch them with. So you need smoke and lasers and all that stuff and all that fluff. That's what you're going to try to catch students with in student ministry. And with your clients as well, if you feel like I've got to respond to every text every 15 seconds or they're going to dump me, then they're going to expect you to respond every 15 seconds. But I mean, don't record this part, but Tyler's right. Like, it's not an emergency. It's just real estate. They'll be fine. It's okay. And so if if people expect you, I texted you, I'm texting you right back. Now, if you're like, yeah, we need you to the property, I'm 5 minutes late. Yeah, text them back. That's a good idea. But if they're just setting up those initial consults, that communication pattern you establish up front is really important. So I try intentionally to I don't text clients back after 5 o'clock. They're fine. They'll be okay. Because if I do, they expect me to text them back after 5 o'clock. And I've got some clients that are, eager beavers and they'll text me at 6:30. That's fine. They can text at 6:30, but I'm not going to respond to them until I'm working, which is way later than cold plunge over here because I'm not doing that crap either. I start my day later in the morning after Price is Right's over kind of time. I'll get back to them, but that communication pattern is really important so that people don't feel like, well, it's been an hour, why aren't they responding to me? Well, you're training them how to treat you. And I don't know the phrase you said, but it was really good. People aren't going to set those boundaries for you. You've got to set it for them and do it politely and respectfully. And then they'll follow those things so that you do have communication that is, consistent and effective and not over the top. And I will say, I don't do the auto text, auto email, and that kind of stuff, but I don't feel like it's very personal and people can see through that. It hasn't been necessary for my business. If it's necessary for yours, that's totally fine. But I want to be intentional with people, whether it's a phone call or email or text, so however they initiate with me, as long as it's, respecting my boundaries, I set up, I'll, respond that way. So if they like phone calls, I'll call them back. If they like emails, I'll email back, or text the same way.
So all this personality, how do we handle difficult conversations? How do you approach that? Got a difficult conversation from a client. How are you navigating that?
All right.
Yeah.
So I might not surprise you, but I've been called a lot of things in life. But I have been surprised in my short experience in real estate how much clients are appreciative when you're direct with them. All this fluff and pandering and making them feel good and all this crap, it don't matter, y'all. They need clear, direct. If they want to look at a house that they have no business want to see, why are you doing that to yourself and to them? I don't know what's the situation. I don't know anything about it. It depends. You have to have the relationship first. You can't be be a jerk up front, that's a really bad business strategy. But if you come across as, if you come across aggressive at all, you set yourself up wrong. You shouldn't build that relationship first. But I've had clients over and over again thank me, either them or the spouse, for just being clear that they have no business seeing that property, or we need to wait a month until this financial situation heads out, or hey, your house is really bad shape. Let me help you get in better shape. We shouldn't put it on the market now. And oh, by the way, my team and I can help you get there. You don't have to do it by yourself. You're not judging them for whatever situation is at home. You're saying, hey, here's the situation, the reality. They know they're hoarders. They know they're cat people. You just got to help them get to a place where they can make the most money for it. That's really what they want. So I would say communication, how to handle difficult conversations is you just got to be clear and direct without being mean about it. Because people don't like it when you're all fluffy and saying, well, we'll figure this out. They need to hear directly, what's the reality? Because ultimately, it's a business decision for them too. And if you're lying to them up front or just not deceiving them intentionally, but if you're coming across saying less than truthful to make yourself look better, it's just people love it. So I think direct, clear communication is really important, even if it's a hard conversation. And I appreciate your question. It just depends on how the relationship starts, which is why you can't just, plug and play in a machine. You gotta get better with that kind of relationship.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Rob.
Rob, you have been a picture of consistency and growth. Your client events are amazing. A statistic that came from NAR says that 78% of clients would use their realtor over again, yet over 90% of those realtors do not maintain contact. What are a few things, some of the ways that you and your team stay connected post-close?
Yeah, so one of the things we've started doing up front with our clients, we use Jotform. And so there's a couple little things in there that we put in, but one of them was like, we want to know their favorite candy and their favorite restaurant. And so like last week, we got a favorite restaurant that was Taco Bell. I was like, yeah, that's great. So, you can get a Taco Bell gift card at some point. And so I think we use those to kind of track who and what people like. And so we use auto plans too. So after a closing, they get assigned an auto plan. And so, I don't know if I remember everything that's in that auto plan, but a couple of things that happen is it checks in with them within a month and just reminds them to claim homestead. It's also reminding us at different intervals over the course of that next year on touches to follow up and just ask questions. So it's nothing I have to remember. If I have to remember it, it is not happening. So like every morning we use a system called Brevity for our transaction management, our database system. And so every morning we can log in and I can see everybody on our team and what their tasks are for that day. I can also look and see what tasks are overdue and what tasks are upcoming. And so it's just a good check for me to do that, which has been great. We also add their birthdays and their home anniversaries. So on their birthday and home anniversary, it is immediately letting us know so that we, it'll send an automatic email. Well, with a lot of our clients, I will also just shoot like some sort of goofy happy birthday text. Some old woman for her dentures fall off. And so, but it's just something just to say, hey, like, I remember you, like, I was not just for a paycheck. I'm here, like, post-closing. So the other thing that we've done, I would say over this past year, and I would say this is because my wife is the most detail-oriented follow-up person, and she runs kind of the back end of our database. It's like 1, 5-year, and 10-year gifts for our clients, which has been a, and so like she has planned that out, like all the 1 and 5 and 10-year gifts are completely planned out, and most of those have already got the gifts. So she will send those out. She then lets Sarah and me know, hey, this has happened, follow up with them. has been a home run this year. It's just like different people have responded, like we got the s'mores kit, like that was incredible.
What type of gift?
I mean, this was, one of them was like a s'mores making kit. And it was, let's see how that looked at it. And so, but, you know, we're getting those text message or follow up, or we will say, hey, like, let's see it. You know, we've got an upcoming 5-year anniversary, like, what would you like? And Sarah's been better about this than me, but we will also do CMAs where we will say, hey, we've been at your house for 5 years, and here's kind of a ballpark of equity. So we'll check out. It's a very detailed thing. It actually gets logged into Brivity, our system, so that at any point you can go back and look and reference that. But it's one of those things that adds value, and then here as like the deadline for claiming homestead is coming up, like you're delivering homestead rent, like we can deliver it to every client. I will say, like this year, I worked really hard with all of my buyers to like see them in person. And it is amazing to like wife, like, you know, a wife let me in and I walked out and I had a 70-something-year-old man mowing his yard in the backyard. He got off and we had a conversation. And so it was like a couple of days of delivering stuff that was super time consuming, but like to have those face to face, here's a little bread with a reminder of how to claim homestead if you haven't. And honestly, everybody claimed homestead except for probably the biggest sale I had that year. So their tax bill is about to skyrocket.
So, and you touched on it a little bit, but how has hosting client events impacted the growth of your business?
It is something, so I've been doing this 20 plus years and did not start doing client events until my wife came on 3 years ago and made this. And I think they are labor intensive. We partnered with a lot of the capstone events, but I just closed the deal with somebody I would have never thought I'd close. And it was a big deal because we reached out and said, hey, you should come to this client event, which was the watermelon story.
Kind of hop in there real quick. If you're not doing these things that Capstone sets up, and they did not pay me to do this, I want to watch what I say. It's so easy, and it's such an easy touch point. Because you're not, it's not, hey, please use me. You're like, hey, come to this. Like here, so I'm big with piggybacking off those. They make it so easy. You literally just have to screen grab it and start texting your people. So,
but even if they don't come and
There you
you
go.
invite them, it is another touch. Like I'm thinking about you, you're valuable to me and my business. I would love to spend some money on this. And it's like, even if they say no, to me, that's a win. It's the fact that they reached out and invited me to something. That's a question.
So I hear you say, you'll do some automated stuff, hey, happy birthday, grandma, that sort of thing, but you'll also do personal touches, and so you'll do both. You'll do the automated thing, but you'll also, like, you personally will reach out to your client, and text or email, something.
Yeah.
So it's not either or. So
A lot of times it's both.
and the system, your software you're using, helps remind you.
Every bit of it. Yeah, it tells me every birthday, every home anniversary.
And it's
all
then
that.
attached to it.
Yeah, and we tag all of our clients, so we know what year they bought, if they were a buyer, if they were a seller.
How did you know when it was time to grow your team and hire him?
Because of my wife. So I mean, I can remember the first assistant I hired, my wife was like, you're terrible with details and you're dropping the ball. She wasn't even working with us at that point. But she was just watching my life kind of spiral at that point because you're busy doing everything. And I mean, I've learned as I've gotten older that there are things I'm good at, and things I'm really terrible at. So we hired. And then I remember I've had a buyer's agent years ago that wasn't great, but I was showing property all the time and working, and jumped in at that point, like, you're killing yourself. So I think a couple of those, like having outside people, I also have a real estate coach, we'll talk about later. But that was what allowed me to hire Sarah back there 5.5 years ago. And so that was such an outlet for like, and I realized better than me in doing that, which freed me up to do other stuff. So.
All right, and we're gonna go through and ask them 2 more quick questions if y'all are good to hang with us for just another minute. But what would you say would be the one pillar? Get us your one thing with the group that was just pivotal to your success that you've learned throughout the course of your time in real estate. What would that one thing be? Start with Leah.
Be intentional with people. I'd say the same. It's like your relationships are the most important thing. They're your build a business. So focus on them.
12 years ago, I hired a real estate coach. I've probably had 4 at this point that I meet with every week. And I will say, like, I'd say that I kind of hit a point where I was bumping my head up against a ceiling of production. And somebody talked me into hiring a coach, and I did. And it was painful because you pay for it. And you think it's going to cost you money, and it doesn't. And so it has been worth its weight in gold. So it's accountability. They help me process my P&Ls. They're asking me the questions of why did you not do this, or why are you doing that, or what about these conversations? So that the level of accountability has changed. Like I had 1 year where I had a little bit of health problems, and I did not bring in the coach, and it was unbelievable what I mean, there's probably multiple factors, but then I hired a coach, and so most years I have seen like production increase.
Mine with you and my wife told me it's just keep doing what has gotten you. So there's a lot of toys and tricks and tools out there you get distracted by. There's a lot of pretty things, and I think we like to chase the new idea and overcomplicate things, but like there's always reminding you just keep doing what's gotten you here each year with your success here. So as I want to pivot the business or the team or whatever here or there, just not forget who I am. Get distracted by everything else. So.
I know I'm going to think of something very groundbreaking on my walk later. But all I can think about is a pretty simple thing. You got to be having conversations about real estate, and however that works. Meetings, calls, different things. Maybe it's lunch, but you got to be having conversations about real estate.
All right, and last question. If there's one thing that you wish someone would have told you sooner that you've implemented into your business now, what would that be?
They told me early and I didn't believe them, but it's database. I mean, it's the central nerve of the web.
And I'm a coach of that was kind of what has now taken my business.
I would say database like it is. I remember at one point thinking, I just redo my database. Coach, we did painful over the last year, but
I'm painfully walking through my database right now, so that sucks and it's hard. And doing that, so I'll piggyback on that. I'll say I wish I had sooner had a simplified listing presentation figured out, so that I knew not just a checklist, but like I knew what do clients need and what do I need to steer them from in a conversation, so I can just go through that, have confidence what I'm doing as I'm walking through the help.
Tell me the question one more time.
What's one thing? What's one thing you wish you knew in the beginning that something.
Okay. I'm going to take this 2 directions. One, I'm going to piggyback off them, because when you're starting out and you're just starving and you're like, I've got to get something, you're not really thinking about what's down the line. But getting a CRM, sticking with it, putting that important stuff in there is going to, whatever they say, your database is worth like 10,000 per whatever. I can't remember what the stat on it. Anyway, it's worth a lot of money. The people that you know are worth a lot of money. And then two, and maybe this is just for me personally, checking the ego. Like nobody cares. And ask people, ask for help. Where is that person that's next on the rung where you want to be? Hey, matter of fact, Rob, we're going to go get lunch. Rob is where I want to be. So like, and most people, especially here, everyone's so gracious with their time. Like if whoever's next in line, like go and meet with them, be humble, learn from them. How did you do it?
I think the amazing thing is that everyone comes from a standpoint of having a servant's heart, and that's really like the epitome of the culture that we have at Capstone. So don't do life alone, right? Like who's going to be at John's database class now that everyone up here has said do your database? But just find someone to do life with, whether you're on a team, whether you're an individual agent. We've had amazing focus groups in here where we're sitting across the table just sharing insights very similar to what we're sharing up here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, if you're not in those focus groups and you like this is kind of the.
This has been the vibe. So
Yeah.
It's been really awesome. Our Dan Elzer will be our focus group next quarter, but yes, that's it. That's all I got. Anything else?
Thank you, panel. I'm not gonna mess it up. Thank y'all for coming.